A few months ago, I gave you guys some tips on how to be a rapper. Well, let's say you're an established rapper, like you have your name, and you're beginning to write bars or songs. Um, so let's say you're pretty seasoned in the freestyle craft, you're pretty seasoned in the writing, and you are going to go forward with your first project. Before you even get started, something that is pretty helpful. You should promote that you are coming out with a project by doing a few freestyle verses, maybe some written verses, just to build some hype around your project, because nobody wants to just release something and not promote it, because then you're not going to get, if you're an artist, you're not going to get any sales. If you're on YouTube, you're not going to get any views. So you want to promote that you're doing a project and show people your skill prior to the project. So do a couple freestyles, plug it on Twitter and Facebook and say, hey, I'm, making a project, so people know. And then this is one of the most challenging parts about making a project, coming up with a name. Because the name has to be, the general topic, or have, some real thought behind it. Like, for, say Eminem, relapse. He was relapsing off of drugs, so that makes sense. Recovery. He recovered, and he was better. He recovered from his drug addiction. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. He literally almost died, so that fits. Get rich, or he was gonna die trying to get rich, so it works. So name it something that is personal to you. Maybe have the lead single or one of the singles on the album be the name. A lot of artists do that. But Eminem didn't do that with Recovery, but he did do that on his new album, Shady XV, because that was the first song on the album. So really think about the name that you give your project and put some real heart into it. Don't just name it something and then have no connection to your actual project, but really think about the name, because that kind of determines how the project's going to go. Also, when you're first starting out with a project, generate some topics. Like Dan, my friend, and Haas and I are doing a project called The Blueprint, because this is the ground. We're making the groundwork and we're building up. So a couple tips on writing your first single and other songs like that as well. Generate your topics, because you're going to want to have a point behind your music. So for example, like loss, maybe you lost a loved one, write a song about that. Everybody's been through a breakup, and you want it to be topics that people can actually relate to. So like suicide, like I said, breakups, loss, motivational things as well. So just generate topics and make sure that they mean something again to you, like the name of the project. Like the name of the project is supposed to have something to do maybe with your life. Same thing with the music, because you want to really make it about you. So, some tips that will help you generate maybe lines, maybe hooks. Freestyle. Dan and I do this all the time. If we're stumped on maybe a verse or a hook, or we just hear an instrumental that we like, we freestyle on it. We freestyle a cappella, because it gets your brain going into that mindset where you're making songs, you're making music. And it gets you kind of in the creative juices. It gets them flowing, So, freestyle for a while before you even pick up a pad and a pen. And then once you freestyle for a little bit and your mind starts getting there, like I said, write topics down. So like, to structure it, write a topic at the top of the page, and then write suicide, and then kind of write bars about suicide. And if a song hits you or a story hits you, go ahead and write it. So just free write. Just write about whatever you want to, because that generates, ideas for songs and things like that. Maybe a line that you write down will inspire you to make a song, or a hook that, may inspire you. Also, listen to a lot of instrumentals, a lot of different varieties. Like, you could listen to stuff with jazz in it, with rock in it, like something like Berserk, or something with more of a piano, like 25 to Life. Just listen to a lot of instrumentals, because sometimes you feel something with an instrumental and it sets a fire in you, and you make a song to that instrumental. So you can listen to instrumentals with hooks already, which that's easier, because that kind of generates the topic for you. Or listen to a blank instrumental, which that would just be one without a hook, because that way you get a little bit more freedom. You can create your own hook, and that may get those juices flowing too, because sometimes a free beat will just let you explore with your mind and with your lyrics. And other than that, just start making songs. There's kind of a formula for, I guess, mainstream would be hook, rap, hook, something like that. Like a Guts Over Fear. So there's kind of a formula you can write down. You can write your hook on the page and write the verse and write the hook again. But once you get the topics and stuff down, decide what your lead single is going to be. So like, let's say you have a couple skeleton tracks, which are just songs that aren't technically songs yet. They're just like, let's say 3/4 of a song, or just a couple verses maybe, or maybe just a hook. Start trying to write the skeleton songs to a beat, or rap them on a beat, because that really does help. Or kind of structure your songs around the beat. Sometimes you can find a beat that you can just write to. Sometimes the song that you've already written fits to a certain beat. Go run with it. And then I would just say keep creating, because it's really important. The more you create, the more songs you make. And I have this too written down too. The more you create, the easier it's going to be to figure out what songs you want, what songs you don't. But first, before, like, let's say you have 5 songs written, right? Create your lead single. Make sure you have that like one song that you're like, oh, this is my favorite. Make that your lead single. Make it the song that you're most passionate about. And when you're thinking about what song should be your single, make sure it kind of embodies the project, kind of like the name. It kind of gives the whole outset, or the whole message or point that you're trying to get across with this project. Like I said, just continue to create. The next step is to kind of just do like a music overload. So make, say, like I'm pretty sure Eminem said he made like 20 tracks for MMLP2. Well, there wasn't 20 or 30 tracks, and there sure as hell wasn't 20 or 30 tracks on the album, right? So you want to create in bulk, because one song might be better than the other, and you can trim the fat. So let's say you have 30 songs, right? Well, you're probably only going to get maybe 15, 17, that's usually what an album is. But for a mixtape, maybe 8 to 10. So pick your favorite 15. So pick songs that you can live without. And the thing is, you can use those songs for later projects, so they're not necessarily garbage. You don't have to necessarily throw them all away, and some of them can be used for songs later, like maybe lines or hooks or something like that. But pick out the top 15, and then what I did, with Dan and I do, is if we create a song, and like let's say we had 15, right? We go, since it's a collaborative project, you're going to want to have somebody that you can talk to about your craft and about your writing and things like that. Discuss it with a person that you trust, and cut it down to the top 10. And make sure that there are songs that you both like, and songs that you're really passionate about. Once you've trimmed down the fat, release that single. Release the one that you really feel like is going to be the one that's going to hit the hardest, the one that's going to be the most heartfelt, or maybe even the one that has the best hook. That usually in the music industry is what makes songs, is the hook. So the one that you feel is the most catchy. And then let's say if you're signed on a label, or maybe not. Usually labels release, one like a month after the other, like Berserk and Monster and Rap God and things like that came one after the other in Headlights, because that way it gives you kind of a snapshot of the album, and then people, will buy it, or they'll hear another song and be like, oh, I like that one, and they'll buy it. So let's say you're on YouTube, like me, and like a lot of artists are on here. I would say about every week or two, you release another song. Or you could also actually release some of the songs that you were going to scrap, because that's a really easy way to promote too. And make sure you promote the project before. So like this whole time that you're creating, right, you're going to want to promote it. So promote, like I said earlier, promote that you're doing a project, promote it with a freestyle, and then say, oh, new lead singles coming on Twitter, post it on Twitter or whatever. And then once the single's out, post it on Twitter, post it on Facebook, on Instagram, everything you can. And then as you release more music, promote that music as you're releasing it, because that way you get, if you're on YouTube, you get more views. And like, let's say let's say I did Berserk, right? Okay, so I did Berserk, and then I can promote the monster at the end of the video for Berserk. You see what I'm saying? So you can back-to-back promote, and that way you get more views. And then, like I said, plug each song on social media. That way you get more views and stuff like that. And then let's say you have to perform it, or you have gigs or whatever. Perform that for 2 months or however long until you get sick of it. Because as an artist, you never want to get sick of your music, right? So until perform it, share it until you're kind of sick of it, until you get sick and tired of hearing your own music, which that happens. Trust me, I'm going through it right now with some of the Blueprint songs that we're making. And then don't sit on a project for too long either. So like if you've made it, don't sit on it for a year. See what I'm saying? So you want to move on to the next thing, because you always want to. That's one of the good things and kind of the bad things about the music industry is you always have to keep creating. You have to keep creating new things, and just move on to the next project. And the cool thing is, like, so with Eminem's catalog that he's got, Marshall Mathers LP, for example, he did the Marshall Mathers LP too. So he took old ideas and made them new. You can do that as well. So let's say you have a song about suicide on your first album. Well, you can make references about that suicide song or whatever, or take maybe a line, because he said in Stan, he said, "Drink it, fit the vodka, dare me to drive," and he makes a reference in that in Bad Guy 2. Or he was going 90 on the freeway. That was the line he said in Stan, "I'm going 90 on the freeway." And then he said it again in Bad Guy. So you can make references and little like tweaks or whatever to your lines, and help even promote your old project as well. So let's say like the 90 miles an hour on the freeway, that promoted MMLP 1 and MMLP 2. And once you get kind of sick and tired of the music that you made, go on to the next project. Release another freestyle. Start the whole process all over again. The biggest advice I can give to you is have fun with it. Don't make it into, like, it's work, but it's fun work. And don't ever make it, like, stressful on yourself. Like, if you have an album release date, don't ever make it so you're, like, crunching and trying to just get the music out, because if you force yourself to rush it, it's not going to be as good. So make sure you take your time with your projects. You don't push them out too quick, and you only release things that you really like, that you're really passionate about, because you don't ever want to have music that you have to perform or you're going to have to show to other people or share or whatever that you're not really behind. So make sure, like I said, when you trim the fat of your project, make sure it's the songs that you really care about. And most of all, make sure it's music that you can relate to, because if you can relate to it, then other people can. And make music that you enjoy, that you would listen to. Like if you heard it on the radio, you wouldn't change the channel. You'd want to listen intently because it catches your attention. So overall, name your project. Just start freestyling and writing. Create concepts for your music, topics, and create stories with your music. And then create a lead single that kind of conveys or portrays the whole outlook of the project, and then release more music off of it week after week if you're on YouTube, or month after month if you sign to a label or something like that, and then just perform it, share it, and move on to the next thing. So create it, promote it, and perform it. Hopefully this helped you if you're in the process of making a mixtape or an album. This is part 2 of How to Be a Rapper. This is help on a mixtape, because Dan and I are currently going through this right now. So hopefully this helped you. And be prepared for the Blueprint. I have Don't Fuck With Me on there. We have Missing You. We have Lost One. We have a bunch of records coming out, new songs. And I'm going to be posting a freestyle, actually, promoting that too. And Dan and I have a couple of skeleton songs that we're going to promote the Blueprint with. So I'm doing this stuff right now, so I'm happy to give you guys the feedback. Remember to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. If you're working on a project right now, or have a single out from a project, or just have music that you want me to listen to, hit me up in the comments below. I love hip-hop, so if you have a song that you're really passionate about, odds are I'm going to be passionate about it too. I'm a music lover. I'll help promote your stuff, and if it's good, I probably will subscribe. So good luck to all the mixtape slash album makers, all the music creators, and I'm psyched to see your stuff. I'm psyched to share my passion of music with you guys, and let's just make hip hop and the rap game take notice. Let's make it a better place, and let's fill it with some really heartfelt, really emotional, and motivational music. Can't wait to see what you guys do. Hopefully these tips helped you out, and I'll see you guys next time on part 3.